Good evening, everybody. Let's get this volume turned down. There we go. Much better. How's everybody doing? I hope you're having a good weekend. Especially those of you that have been watching the football game. What an interesting result that was. Yeah. Me and my family, we watched it. We're Scottish, so, you know, it doesn't really matter to us either way, whichever way it went. We just wanted to watch good football, to be honest. I'm not a massive football fan. But, you know, I thought, hey, you know what? England have not been in a major tournament final for 55 years. You know, it would have been nice to have a fairy tale ending. Not to be. Italy were definitely the better team, and they played the better football, and England just could not make the most of their chances, to be honest. So I was quite surprised it actually went to penalties, and I'm quite surprised that Italy didn't score again, to be honest. But anyway, that is the football game. Congratulations to Italy on winning. And shame that it went the way it did for England, but I think both teams were the best two teams in that entire tournament. I think they both deserved to be there, and they played outstanding football throughout. So well done to both teams, really. Anyway, moving away from football, because this is not a football show, this is an audio show. Welcome to my brand new studio. We moved in on Wednesday last week, and most of the house still has a number of boxes in them in various rooms, and a garage is full of boxes, lots of boxes. So all of that has to be unpacked over the coming weeks. Most of my studio gear is here, some of it isn't, because some of it won't fit in here. This room is a little bit smaller. I did a test stream last night, and it was great. We only had like a dozen people here, but it was really nice. And I basically just wanted to test out the new internet connection, because we now have super ridiculously fast internet now. So we should have 900 megs per second down and 100 up, 110 up. But it only went live on Friday, so it takes a little bit of time before it kind of settles into its groove. But once it settles into its groove, it's going to be awesome. I can't wait for those kind of speeds. So, yeah. That's funny. That's funny, Darren. What do you mean, no fairy tale ending? That's why I've joined your live stream. Well, I suppose that's the fairy tale ending, is that you're here and you're on my show. So thank you. I'm glad you're here. So anyway, this room is a little bit smaller than the other one. The other one was pretty much exactly 12 feet long by 9 feet wide. This is 11'1" long and 8.5 feet wide. So it is a little bit narrower, little bit shorter. So and the other thing is we don't have wardrobes, which is what we had in the old studio. So the wardrobe that you saw behind me on every Sunday Night Live pretty much hid a multitude of sins. Basically, there was a lot of junk in behind those panels in that wardrobe that you guys never got to see. I have nowhere to hide those anymore, so I'm finally going to have to do what I should have done 3 years ago, which is have a massive chuck out session. So I'm going to do just that in the coming weeks. I'm going to hire a skip and just basically chuck a whole load of things into a skip and get them recycled. So that is my plan, because as you can see, all I have at the back there is an IKEA unit, which I've turned kind of on its end. and I've put some of my boxes, some of my stuff from unpacking the studio in there. My guitar cases are there. My electric guitar is still in its case, because I've only got the one guitar stand. I need to get another one for the guitar, so the guitar and the bass can live at the back of the studio. The amps for those are down here. I am going to do a studio tour, but I thought I'd give you guys a little bit of the heads up on kind of what it's like in here. I do have, as you can see behind me, I do have some acoustic treatment up on the walls. This is temporary treatment that I brought over from the last studio. It's not really going to be good enough for this room. And also the fact that we own this house now means I can go to town on getting proper acoustic treatment, which I've wanted for like 3 years. So I will be investing in some better quality broadband panels, 4-inch thick broadband panels, and some much thicker bass traps as well. But we can't do that yet. We have to wait for the house to settle. It's a brand new build house, so it takes a little while before it settles. And once that has all happened, then this lot can come down and I can spend some money and get some new stuff put in. So that's kind of where we're going. So at the moment, there's a lot of kind of low mids build up in this room. So mixing is going to be a little bit tricky, to say the least. However, I do have these guys, my trusty Presonus HD7s, which I can use to kind of check things like the low mids and make sure that I am, keeping myself in check with those. And also, of course, one of the best things you can do in any room. Oh, that was the toilet being flushed. I was just like, what the heck is that? It's the toilet being flushed. Anyway, one of the best things you can do in your room is to play good music on your speakers set up in your mix position so that you know what great music sounds like in your space and you just get used to what that sounds like. And then you go from there. And I will be using those as my reference tracks for a wee while until I have learned this room a lot better. So yeah. So basically tonight is a Q&A session. And then from next week, I would like to delve into some deeper topics and have the Sunday Night Live shows a little bit more topic-based with kind of like the Q&A part as well. Because I like your questions and you guys are awesome. So if you have a particular subject or topic surrounding Studio One, Presonus products, mixing, mastering, although I'm not a specialist mastering engineer, my good friend Darren is one of those, and he is the host of the Mastering in the Box YouTube channel. Go check out his channel, please, if you have not done so already. If you have any passing interest or a good, healthy interest in mastering, go check out his channel because it is very, very cool, and he is exceptionally knowledgeable on the subject, more knowledgeable than I am. I have, a good grasp of the basics of mastering, but I'm not a specialist. I'm a mix engineer more than anything else. So anyway, if you have any questions or a particular topic you want me to go into particular depth, then please email me. If you go to the website down below, follow that web address, you will get to a contact box to email me. On the subject of the website, new house, new studio, new website. That is being built currently as we speak. So at the moment, you follow that web address at the bottom there. It will take you to my current website. But I am moving it away from the current platform which I use, which is Kajabi. And I'm probably going to go and build a new website on a different platform altogether. So yeah, so that's kind of the future of the website. Is going to look a little bit different, and it may be a little bit less feature rich, but that's basically because Kajabi is just a little bit too expensive for what I'm doing now. So what I'm doing with the studio has changed a bit, and so I need a new website for that. So yeah. So that is going to be built over the coming few weeks, maybe the next 2 or 3 weeks. And there'll be a new contact form for you to use to email me. But if you want to just use Gmail or something like that to email me, then just you can email me at johnny@johnnylipshamstudios.co.uk and just put the subject that you have in mind as the subject line, and then give me a brief description of kind of what it is that you want me to cover, and I'd be happy to do a whole string of shows on subjects that you guys are interested in and that you would like my take on. Bearing in mind that it's what you're going to get is my take, my opinion, my way of doing things. You're maybe not necessarily going to get the same as my very dear friend Joe Gilder or Gregor or Dave Vignola or Johnny Gibe or anybody else like that. You'll get my take on it. So if you want to know what I think about a particular aspect of mixing or songwriting or arranging or whatever it is, then by all means, drop me an email, and hopefully we can string a whole bunch of shows together that are just based around subjects that you guys want. Because I would very much like this show to be more about you than it is about me, and more about what you guys want and what you guys want to learn about. So if you're cool with that, then please do that. In the meantime, for tonight, I will take your questions as they come. Absolutely. Right, let's go up to the top of the chat and see who we have here. Thomas Melkerson over in the Philippines was the first one in the house, followed by Darren at Mastering in the Box. Marcos Gomez over in Brazil is here. And who else do we have? Ambient Dave is here as well. Ken Moss is here, one of my awesome mods. Loenz is here as well. Awesome. Glad to have you here, Loenz. Just Bob is here as well. Kyle is here. Awesome. He says, I'm alive. Heart is still beating. Great to hear. Tony Stringer is here as well. Hey, Tony. Good to see you. Welcome. Not seen you in a wee while. And, of course, Gerard Stroh from Tracy in California is here as well. Awesome. Good to see you. Glad you're here. And Billy Morgan is here. He says, hi, everyone. And Kevin from Kevin's Guitar Stories is here. I nearly totally fudged that name. Billy Morgan is here as well. Hey, Billy. Good to see you. David Anthony is here. He says, congratulations on your new home and studio. Look forward to many years or more information and entertainment. Cool. Thank you. That is very cool. I'm looking forward to it as well, I have to say. Let's see. Who else is here? Who I've not mentioned. Get Songs Done is here as well. Mark Holly is here. Good. We've got a good crew here tonight, which is great. I like that. John Lake is here as well. He says in Scotland twice in one day. Awesome. Thank you. Welcome. Old School Funk and Soul is here as well. I think Mika's here as well. Yep, Mika is here. And I think we are up to it. Yep, I think we are up to date. I'm going to go hunting for questions. If you have a particular question, please type in the box at the bottom of the chat at Jonny Lipsham Studios. And when you do that, my name pops up in red, and I know then that is a question that you want my attention on. Otherwise, it's going to be a little bit hard to find your questions. Let's see. Ambient Dave says, I love my fast fiber connection. Yeah, me too. I'm really glad I have it, because this is the first time I've had fiber to the property. Before, it's always been fiber to the cabinet of varying degrees of quality. Certainly in the very first studio when I started doing the Sunday Night Live, we had, I think, 15 megs per second down and less than 1 up, which was not enough to use OBS. OBS needs at least 5 or 6, and I didn't get that with that particular studio, so I had to use Google Hangouts. Some of you will remember that. People like Bobby Booth, who have been to, I think, pretty much every single show that I have ever done. He will remember those days, and he was here last night for the test stream. And yeah, it was particularly bad. And then when we moved to the last studio in 2018, when we moved there, I had 18, what did I have? 80 down and 20 up. So it was much faster, and I could use OBS, and the quality of my show just went up dramatically, which is great. Really pleased with that. And now we're here. I now have fiber to the property, and it means I can get 900 down and 110 up. So it is going to be fantastic and awesome. And uploading videos should be a breeze. They should just upload in a few seconds, which is going to be great. Looking forward to that. Marcus says, what about tube traps? Yeah, I've heard good things about tube traps. I may or may not get some. I have not decided yet. Let's see. Marcos actually asks a question here. He says, are you from Presonus by chance one day to do a contest for the beauties with ribbon tweeter from Presonus just by chance? I don't actually get any gear with which to do any contests. And it's a little bit difficult for me because I'm actually a Presonus employee, so there are restrictions on what I can and cannot do. So, and I think one of those restrictions is probably doing an unofficial contest. I would need to talk to the head people, the head honchos, and senior management about whether I'm allowed to do that. I probably am not allowed to do that. However, people like Jonny Guy, he's not a Presonus employee, but he does work pretty closely with us. So he is pretty much, to some degrees, kind of very well looked after by Presonus and sponsored by them to some degree. And he does get some gear with which he can do contests. I don't. So, and I know what you're talking about. You're talking about the speakers that Joe Gilder has at the moment, which is the R65s with the ribbon tweeters. And yeah, they are awesome speakers. I have not used them personally myself, but there is another studio here on this side of Scotland in Edinburgh that does use a pair of those, and they do sound great. Those tweeters really do sound fantastic, so they are well worth getting your hands on if you can afford them. Let's see, Mika says hello all. Awesome. He says congratulations, all the very best in your place. Thank you very much, Mika. I appreciate it. That's very kind of you. Thank you. Whoa, and the chat just suddenly jumped, and suddenly I got lots of red. Just Bob says, give me about a month to get my computer up and running. I'll be in Texas for 2 of those weeks. I'd be glad to do more guitar stems for you to try in future shows. Thank you, Bob. That is awesome. I may well hold you to that. Ambient Dave asks, thoughts on the new Studio One 5 update? My thoughts are, for me, personally, it runs really, really stable. It is a little bit kind of feature light. And is more devoted to fixing some relatively long-term issues that we've had with Studio One since 5.0. But there are some good ones, like being able to convert to a capture session, a MIDI file, or a zip file, which is great because you can upload a zip file of your song direct to Presonisphere if you're a member of Presonisphere. Or if you're not, you can upload directly to, you can export that to some other location like Dropbox or WeTransfer or something like that, and it will do that very, very efficiently. And that was actually a big feature request. So I'm glad that we have that, and for me that works really well. I have some folks on PreSonus that I'm collaborating with, so moving stuff back and forth is really, really, really easy and can all be done inside of Studio One without ever having to leave the program, which is fantastic. I don't have to kind of like save the song to new folder, then go zip it up, then go and kind of upload that in my PreSonus account. I don't have to do that anymore. This is so much better. I just go to File, convert to zip file, and then I send it to PreSonus, and it's all done inside of Studio One. It's great. So yeah, that's probably for me the biggest hit of Studio One 5.3. But yeah, there are some good fixes as well, some good long-term ones as well. The best thing I can recommend you do is go check out the release notes if you are not on 5.3 yet. I would definitely recommend you go and check out the release notes because there's a lot of really good information there on what's been fixed and what's been added. As I say, not a whole lot added this time, but certainly some good ones, like I say, the zip file ones, and then there's also the musical directions as well, which is really cool little addition, an expansion on the sound variations from Studio One 5.2, but this time making it a little bit more kind of notation orientated. So if you want things like trills or tremolos or tremolandos or, you know, kind of different musical directions, like you want I don't know, you want really quiet to, and then a crescendo to really loud, you can now do that all inside the score editor in Studio One. It's very cool. And also being able to layer some of these kind of sound variations is something you can now do with great ease. So I think that's favorite feature number 2. Favorite feature number 3 is being able to drag and drop from the chord track to a MIDI track, which is great for just creating like a roughed out keyboard part without actually ever having to touch a keyboard. If I type in my chord changes into the chord track, then I can just drag that to an instrument track. So I could like just drag in Presence or Mai Tai, you know, if I just want to hear what my chord changes sound like. And basically create a scratch keyboard part that everything else can then be built around. You can do that just by, you know, kind of selecting all of the chords in the chord track, and then you just drag and drop onto an instrument track, and it's there instantly. That is a fantastic feature. Bobby Booth is here, and he retracted his message. Sorry about that, buddy. Let's see. Mika says, how does the new room sound compared to the old one? Is there much difference in the near field? Yeah, there's a bit of a build-up in the kind of low mids area, which I did not have before. And that's with the acoustic treatment up. So, yeah, it is, and I think part of that is just the fact that this room is very kind of brand new, and probably the building materials as well. So I'm definitely going to have to acoustically treat more than I did before in the other room. So yeah, there's a bit of a difference in how it sounds. I'm trying to work out where kind of, I mean, the last room, it was pretty clear that the resonant frequency of that room was A flat, because anytime I played or sang an A flat, it would just go in the room. And this room doesn't seem to have that, which is interesting. So there's kind of no kind of resonant frequency in this room with the acoustic treatment up. I mean, there maybe was, it was a little bit more like a B or a B flat, somewhere kind of in between those. And then I put the acoustic treatment up, and that seemed to get tamed down significantly to the point where it's not really a thing in this room compared to the last one. But yeah, there's still a little bit of flutter echo going on, and you know, maybe a little bit of comb filtering as well. But I can fix those with adding in a little bit more acoustic treatment, and we should be good. And then, as I say, a little bit later down the road, once the house is settled a little bit more, I'm going to get some more kind of thicker broadband acoustic treatment material that will help bring those low mids under control. So I'm kind of going to live with it for a little while until then. And like I say, I'm going to use reference tracks. I'm going to use my headphones and my earbuds, which are over here, these guys, and kind of compare and contrast the different mediums, and just get my mixes to translate across those. And if they'll translate across those, then I think I'm in a fairly safe position that, if I take them out to the car or I play them on my phone, they will sound fine. But yeah, I'm going to have to learn this room. It's going to take a little bit of time. Ambient Dave says, mine's a cabinet, but massive improvement from my last internet company getting down the phone line. Oh my word, yes, I remember down the phone line. Good grief. Wait, the chat just jumped again. I hate it when that happens. Any thoughts on the Mac M1? I'm tempted with the iMac. Any thoughts? I do have an iMac, which is over there. It's not an M1. It's an Intel i7 quad core. And it's currently running the latest build of Big Sur with no trouble at all, with Studio One and Notion and GarageBand and a few other exotic things on there as well. And they all work really well. No problems, no crashes, no glitches, no audio dropouts, none of that stuff. However, as far as compatibility is concerned with Studio One in particular, and with Notion, the current word on the Presonus knowledge base really is that, yes, M1 chips are supported, but only in Rosetta 2 mode. Not natively supported yet. It is being worked on. It is being investigated. But I genuinely have no idea when it is going to be natively supported. So we're just going to have to wait, I guess. And in the meantime, you're going to have to use Studio One on the M1s in Rosetta 2 mode. And you will need to check that all of your third-party plugins that you use in your mastering setup are compatible with the M1 chips and with Rosetta 2 mode. If they're not, then you're not going to be able to use them. It's going to be as simple as that. But yeah, I'm gathering now that pretty much all the new iMacs and all the new MacBook Pros, they just come with the M1 chip stock. You can't actually get the choice of having an Intel chipset instead, unfortunately. But it is what it is. Ambient Dave says, been using Studio One 5 for just a year so far. Awesome. Congratulations. Yeah, I love Studio One 5. I think it's the best version of Studio One that we've come out with yet. And I've been using Studio One for almost 9 years. So I go way back to the version 2.5. That's when I started with Studio One. And it has worked really well for me. It's been the most solid, reliable, stable DAW I think I've ever used. And I've used a few. I've used Pro Tools, I've used Cubase, I used Logic, I used Reaper briefly, hated Reaper, got rid of that very quickly. I tried Audacity, I have Ableton Live. There are some things I do in Ableton Live because Studio One couldn't do those things. Studio One kind of does those things a little bit more now, so I'm using Ableton Live a bit less. But I don't really like Ableton Live, I'll be honest. But yeah, in terms of stability, Studio One rocks. It is absolutely rock solid for me. I think I have had 3 crashes in the nearly 9 years that I've been using them, and using it, and pretty much I think all of those are my fault. I think I made it crash by being impatient when Studio One was in the midst of a process and I tried to do something whilst it was doing something, and it crashed. But yeah, and of course, you know, Persona's customers send me songs and say, hey, you know, this song is crashing. Can you check it out and see if you can figure out why it crashes? And I'll load up their songs, and sometimes I can reproduce it, and it genuinely does crash. So I have those crashes, but I don't really call those my crashes in Studio One, because, you know, as far as I'm concerned, that it's a customer's song that's causing the crash. But that's a different thing altogether. Let's see. Gerard says, your new studio is awesome and I like your bass guitar. Nice. Yes, it is a right-handed bass. It is a 1962 Fender Jazz bass, fretless. And it looks great. It sounds even better. The strings are a little old now, but they sound more like an upright bass with slightly older strings on them. Which is kind of where I started, really. I started playing upright bass, and then I went to electric bass guitar, because two things. Number one, I wanted to slap, because I was playing funk a little bit more. In the kind of mid-90s, I was playing a lot more songs where, you know, it was kind of brand new heavies kind of thing, and I was having to do a little bit more slap. And you can't really do that on a fretless, so I was playing a lot of fretted electric bass at that time, and now I'm back where I started on the fretless bass, because I much prefer the fretless sound because of coming from upright bass. But yes, I love it. It's awesome, and it looks just like Jaco Pastorius's bass. Let's see, what else do we have here? Get Songs Done says, those new mix effects are crazy. Do you use those? Yes, I do. I have the new retro, I forget what we're calling them now. Retro Legends, Mix Legends, I think we're calling them. I do have those. They are particularly awesome. If you've never seen those before, we can take a quick peek. They are only available, because they're mix effects engine things. They're only available on either your main output channel or any bus channel, and you can access them from this mix effects section at the top here. You have the Alpine, the Brit, and I have the Console Shaper. I also have the CTC1. The Console Shaper comes free with Studio One 5 Professional. Although it kind of was in version 4 as well. CTC1 you have to purchase, and Portacassette. Now Portacassette is very, very cool. I'll show you this one first. And it does look like a particular brand of 4-track or 8-track cassette recorder. And I had one of these, the real actual thing. I had one of these. And this is really, really cool. I'll play a little bit of this for you, and I'll show you kind of some of the things you can do with it. So yeah, I love this guy. It's just a totally crazy thing. But it's not my favorite. I think my favorite is this guy. This is the Brit console, which is, to me, A little bit like an SSL console, and I just love the sound of this guy. And there's a whole bunch of presets as well that come with it that you can check out. Like there's an Eco 4000, there's G Style. I think we both know, I think we all know what those two are, and they actually sound pretty close, to be honest. But yeah, these are great. Well worth getting your hands on if you have not done so already. Let's see. Lollipop Guild is here. Hello, good to see you. And she says, congratulations, hope you're getting settled in well. Yeah, we are. We have beds, or at least me and my wife have beds. The kids have mattresses because we're still waiting for delivery for their new beds. But yeah, we're kind of getting there. Finding things like pots, pans, and kitchen utensils is entertaining. For, you know, making dinner and lunch and that kind of stuff. But yeah, very glad to be in here, having watched this house be built for the last 3 months and go through the whole process of actually buying it, has been very, very cool. And the people, the development company that actually built this whole development and built this house, are actually really good. They are really nice people. Certainly the people on this that are actually dealing with this development have been fantastic. And we've got to know some of the builders really, really well. We've got to know the site manager really well. And one of the guys that basically does all the marketing and sales for this particular development, we got to know him really well. And he's actually bought a house on this development as well. So he's going to be one of our neighbors, which is really cool. So we've made friends with the people that are actually building the houses here, which is really nice. And, you know, we have nice neighbors. Actually, genuinely, we really have nice neighbors. There's a young couple next door on this side. No, this side. This side. Who are really nice. They are super young. They're like in their early 20s. And then on this side, we have a young lady with a couple of young kids. So yeah, we feel kind of like, you know, kind of a little bit old, I suppose, for our street. But the folks across the street from us are kind of our age as well, which is nice. So yeah, settling in well to the development and looking forward to seeing a lot more of the houses completed on this development as well. It's maybe another couple of years before all of the houses are built and all of the building work is complete. So yeah, a little bit of a patience game with that aspect of it, but you know, it's not a problem. Let's see. Mastering in the Box says, that'd be my friend Darren. He says, no, I do not recommend mastering in Studio One. I recommend mixing and mastering in Studio One. I started some pre-mix editing the other day. First mix in a long time in Studio One all the way. Yes, I totally would agree with that. I would also wholeheartedly recommend mixing, mastering. In fact, I'd recommend the whole process. I'd recommend songwriting, arranging, composing, mixing, mastering, performing, all inside of Studio One. I recommend just using Studio One for the entire process, from very beginning ideas to getting your song released and also performing it. I think you can do the whole thing inside of Studio One. And to me, that's amazing because, you know, as I said, I've been with Studio One for almost 9 years, and having seen it grow and develop, it's, you know, the direction it's going in now is just fantastic. Let's see. Lollipop Girl says the first month is pretty rough. Best wishes getting all sorted out. Yes, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Let's see. Kevin says, I think you missed my question. Did I? Did I miss your question, Kevin? I apologize. I'll have to go up and see if I can find it. Did you type my name, Kevin? Yes, you did. Are you listening through speakers right now? And if so, how are you keeping the feedback at bay? Great question. I am listening on speakers right now. I used to do my shows with headphones. and I didn't like wearing headphones to do this show, and to do Jonny's show, I don't wear headphones either. However, here's my little secret. I hate giving my secrets away, but I'm going to. Okay, I have the PreSonus monitor station, and my interface outputs go from the outputs on the back of it into the monitor station, and then there's another set of cables that go from the monitor station to my speakers. This means I have complete control over the volume and the output of my speakers. And there's a dim switch on this guy, and so basically I'm using the dim switch, and there's an attenuation knob that goes with that, and I just basically find the sweet spot where I can still hear everything nice and clearly, but it's not being picked up by the mic. So a little bit of experimentation is done to find that spot. But once I've found that spot, I just keep it there. And then all I need to do is just turn that off when I'm not doing a show. But whenever I'm doing a show with Jonny or I'm doing Sunday Night Live, I use that dim switch. And it means I can hear the speakers, but it doesn't get picked up by them. The speakers don't get picked up by the mic and start creating a feedback loop. So that is how I do that. And it's so much better than wearing headphones. Can't believe I didn't think of that for so long. That would be a much better solution. Much more elegant solution than just using headphones. Let's see. I think I might have missed a couple of other questions here as well. I'm trying to see what else we have. Mark Holly says, how do you select a reference track when no obvious song comes to mind? That's a great question. Reference tracks for me are about familiarity. Because if I know what a good mix sounds like in this room, and I get used to how a good, professional, high quality, high grade mix sounds in this room, then I can use that even if the genre of music that I'm actually mixing does not match it. So, for example, the record that I use as my kind of gold standard would be Donald Fagen's The Nightfly, which was recorded by Roger Nichols, mixed by Elliot Shiner, and mastered by... I can't remember who mastered it. Darren, you might be able to help me out with who mastered The Nightfly. I can't remember. But anyway, Elliot Shiner's mix of The Nightfly and the quality of the recordings is stupendous. So I know that is going to sound great on anything, in any room. So if I put that on through my mixer, through my speakers, in this room, and I get used to how that sounds, then I can start working on my mix, and I can reference that other mix, be it one, it doesn't matter which song on that record that I use. Even if I'm, mixing a country record, I can still reference that mix, and I can make sure that I'm in the ballpark, and not kind of, one of the things I'm probably going to be tempted to do in this room, because there is a bit of a low mids build up, is I'm going to want to back off the low mids and start cutting and start cutting and start cutting. So the reference track combined with my headphones and my earbuds are going to keep me right about what the room is telling me and what's really coming out of the speakers. And so that combination is going to help a lot to kind of help me resist the temptation to start yanking back the low mids, because there is such a there is a bit of a bump of the low mids in this room, maybe about 3 or 4 dB, but it's definitely noticeable. So yeah, that's kind of the big one, really. And that's why I will be using reference tracks for a good while until I'm completely comfortable with how this room sounds, and I'm able to get mixes to translate out of this room with no issues. So yeah. And as I say, I have a quality control chain that involves listening to the mix on the HD7s, listening to them on my nice earbuds, and listening to them on some other crappier earbuds that I have, and also my phone, and also I have a hi-fi unit downstairs, and I can just whack the mix onto that as well via Bluetooth. And then, of course, the car. I can just whack the mix onto the car via Bluetooth. So I can very easily do my quality control, and I can make notes on what sounds good and what doesn't sound quite so good on those different mediums. And hopefully, I can tweak my mix and get it to sound really good on all of those. That would be the plan. But that is a really good question. Let's see. Yeah, some of you guys are talking about FL Studio. I've never used FL Studio, so I can't speak to it particularly, unfortunately. Let's see. Get Songs Done says, my mixers have been maxing out my computer lately. Conveniently, Studio One has the project page for mastering. It's a killer workflow. It most certainly is. Absolutely. Ambient Dave says, I'm discovering the stock plugins are great. Lots to learn though. Yeah, I would say that having used Cubase, Pro Tools, and Logic in particular, who, by the way, they all have killer stock plugins. Gotta say, I think the stock plugins that you get with Studio One are the best of all. They are the best of all DAW stock plugins. And I'm not just saying that because I work for PreSonus. But, you know, even before I worked at PreSonus, that was one of the things that just like slapped me across the face about Studio One. And why it was just like I had to switch from Cubase that I had used for 30 years and was actually pretty much a Cubase evangelist when I started being exposed to Studio One and I discovered these stock plugins. I was just like, wow, these are amazing. These actually do a great job. They sound great. They're intuitive. I can get through a mix much, much quicker. And the whole drag and drop thing was a massive big seller for me. And the fact that it has the integrated mastering suite was another big seller for me. But yeah, there's the suite of native plugins. I think other DAW manufacturers will find them hard to beat. My opinion. Let's see. I'm going to go back down again. Mika says, have you checked the earth grounding of all of your wall sockets in your new electrical system? Yeah, we kind of don't need to do that here in the UK. It's not really such a big issue because earth and ground terminals are built into plug sockets anyway. Plus, I do have the checklist of all the electrical tests that were performed by the electricians when they were in here, and they were all signed off as being correct. So we don't have those kind of issues in this house. But it's a good question. Ken says, so are reference tracks more about quality, or can it be based on certain sound you like to get a good quality mix? I would say both. It might be in a particular case with a particular song, like maybe it's a country rock song. I'm not a big fan of country rock, but occasionally I do get them across my desk and to mix, and I mix them. And I have found that there is a particular snare drum sound that just sounds great for that style of music. And I know my wife, she is a bit more of a kind of country rock fan. And so I will go and pinch one of her CDs and I will rip it onto my computer and create a little country playlist that I can use as a reference to get that snare drum sound. And basically I'm listening for that snare drum sound, and then I'm going and I'm tweaking the EQ on the snare drum sound until I get it kind of in the ballpark, similar to the reference track. So yeah, sometimes it is about a particular sound or a particular characteristic that you're trying to achieve. you know, sometimes the client will say to you that they want it to sound like X mix or X record. And so when they say that, I say, great, send me kind of the song in particular that you like the sound of, that you would like me to kind of shoot for. And then that is my reference track. Cool thing about that is when clients send me reference tracks like that, I build up a library of reference tracks for free, for no extra cost. So it is a good way to do that. Darren says, reference tracks are great if you know the sound of your room. Absolutely. But you must know what the references sound like in your room. Exactly. References are massive. And, even if you've been mixing for a lot of years, references are still really, really useful. And it's no bad thing if you're still using them, even after a lot of years of mixing. Because they're helpful. It's a helpful gauge to make sure that you keep yourself on track. Because, as creative types, we can be a little bit, fleeting, and we can get caught up in different things, and we can, our mixes can get a little bit off track sometimes. So for me, they are kind of like a sounding board. I use them that way. I just basically go, okay, reference mix, so what do you think? And then I listen to my mix, and I will A/B between the two and go, okay, so maybe my keyboard's a little bit loud. Maybe there's too much low mids in the piano. Maybe I can pull some of those things out. And they just help me just keep a handle on making sure that I'm attaining not only a good balanced mix, but I'm attaining the sound that the client wants. So reference tracks is really, really helpful for that. And as I've said, the real killer use of reference tracks is when you're learning the sound of your room. Like here, I've only been in here since Friday, and I've already identified some of the issues that there are in this room. Even with acoustic treatment up, there is still a couple of issues in this room that I may or may not be able to get past, just simply because they are quirks of this room. And so the best way for me to learn what is genuine about this room is by using a reference track, because I know that reference track, if it's off of Donald Fagen's Nightfly, that won multiple Grammy Awards for its mixing and for its recording and for its engineering. So I know it is, a first-class rated record that I can use as a gold standard for what is good in this space. So there you go. Roger Nichols, produced by Gary Katz, Elliot Shiner mixing. Yes, that's exactly what my memory told me. The thing that I couldn't remember was who mastered it, but thanks for that, Just Bob. Appreciate it. Dwayne is here, and he says, having listened to your reference track, would you try to use treatment to minimize that low mid build-up, or just get used to it? It depends. It depends on what the cause of the low mid build-up in this room is. I've identified that it is a problem. I need to kind of do a little bit of kind of go hunting to figure out exactly, what the cause of it is. And it may well be some more acoustic treatment will tame it down to a point where it is a little bit more tucked in, a little bit more balanced in this room. So yeah, and reference tracks will help me identify those kind of things, as well as also help me identify what sounds great in this room overall. But that's a good question as well. I don't think I'm down to the bottom. Get Songs Dunk says, I have an aversion to reference tracks. I just cheat and throw Smart EQ on the bus at the end. Why am I so lazy? Yeah, laziness is kind of the bane of the creative person's existence, is my opinion. Yeah, I think you can allow your art and your creativity to suffer if you're lazy about the end results. Now, I'm not saying use tools within the DAW or third-party plugins to make things go faster and to make the job easier. I mean, that's why there are lots of macros out there, and that's why there are lots of people that create macros, because macros make things go faster. You can bind them to shortcuts on your computer keyboard, and you can just press one button and 5 things can get done in an instant. That is not laziness, that's efficiency. Laziness and efficiency are two kind of different things, although one can be disguised as the other. And that's where you have to be very self-aware and develop some objectivity about how you go about doing things when you're making music. That you're using a genuine shortcut to make things efficient rather than using a shortcut to bypass having to do any work at the creative aspect of what you do. And it's very easy to slip from one into the other. And so we have to learn to be objective, or have somebody who can hold us to account for that kind of objectivity. I have people that I send my mixes to, and I say, hey, what do you think about this mix? And they will give me some very, very honest feedback. And, they'll tell me the truth, and they'll not hold back. And sometimes they'll tell me that I have done a terrible job, and I need to zero the whole thing out and start again. I highly value people that tell me that kind of stuff, because they are more precious than gold, because they are not afraid to tell me the truth in order that I get better and I'm not fooling myself. So yeah, it is great that I have people in my life that won't allow me to fool myself. And I am very, very grateful for those kind of people that I have. And I highly recommend that you acquire people like that in your life, that you humble yourself, you open yourself up to certain trusted individuals, and you say, I would like you to be able to review what I do and make sure I am not being an idiot or not being, sloppy with my work. They are very, very important. Ken says, always try to trust my ears, but in less than a perfect room, I need to trust my eyes. Also, yeah, there is this debate about eyes versus ears and ears versus eyes and all of that. You know what? God gave us 5 senses. Let's use them. Let's triangulate the data that you get from your eyes and your ears, and your experience. Those 3 things will help you be objective. And the cool thing is, like I said, reference tracks, they won't lie to you. They won't lie to you. They'll keep you on the straight and narrow. So, and trusting your ears is something that you work at and develop over time as you develop your ear, and you learn you train your ears for what sounds good, and you aim for that. And you know what? Sometimes what sounds good isn't always the correct thing. Sometimes what sounds good is incorrect, but it works. I mean, that's how they came up with that famous Phil Collins drum sound. That was completely the wrong thing. They accidentally recorded the talkback mic, and the talkback mic made this crazy, glorious sound on, and they printed it, and that's how they made that sound. And that's how they recorded Phil's drums from pretty much then on. So, sometimes the wrong thing is the right thing. And, that comes from experience, that comes from experimentation, that comes from learning what sounds good. And, having people to soundboard off, people to tell you, hey, yes, this sounds great, you're on the right tracks here, or no. This is out of whack, this is out of balance, this needs more attention. You're completely missing that the rhythm guitar on the left channel just has, too much upper mids. They're too harsh, but you've got used to them, so you need to pull those out. Stuff like that, really important. Gerard says, I used Studio One for 9 years and started on double bass and bass guitar same way. Cool, excellent. Peter Brooks says, like painting a picture in artificial light, then look at it in natural light and you see a difference. It's the same with using the right equipment for mastering your audio. Correct. Darren says, ignore your eyes. Use every possible way. Monitors, earbuds, headphones, anything. What's your favorite piece of music? Exactly right. The eyes are good, but they can deceive. The ears are good, but they can be deceived by the room. So you have to learn what sounds good in your room, and you have to treat your room so that your room is tamed and controlled so that all the frequencies are nicely balanced within the room. And then you can trust a little bit more what comes out of your speakers. Bobby says, I guess I'm not lazy. I just don't use any plugins that almost you're mixing. I use my ears and do everything by hand. No fantasy plugins. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with doing everything with one EQ, one compressor, and one reverb and one delay. I did a whole record like that. Somebody challenged me, hey, can you make a 5-song EP with and mix it all just using the Pro EQ, the compressor, the beat delay, and the room reverb? And I said, I've never done that before. Why the heck not? So I did. And it's one of the best records I've ever made. I'll be honest. One of the best records I ever made. And it only uses those. Every mix just uses those 4 plugins. That's it. And it sounds great. Sometimes less is more. Depends on what you're going for, really, to be honest. But yeah, the whole less is more thing is very, very important. Okay. Anyway, it is 8 minutes past 1, and I think we have run out of questions. So I think we're going to get to that point where it is time to end the show. But thank you very much for coming and checking out Sunday Night Live in the new studio. I can't wait for the next episode next Sunday. So if you've really enjoyed tonight's show, hit the like button down there. If you've not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, then hit the dinger, hit the bell. And when you hit the bell, choose all notifications. That way you'll receive notifications about any posts that I put up in the community area or any videos that I put up, as well as this show. And sometimes I do Songwriting Simplified from this channel as well. Mostly it's hosted on Jonny Give's channel, The Home Studio Trainer. But occasionally I get to host it. So you will, if you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell, you'll get notified of everything that I do. And it would help me out enormously if you hit the like button as well. And I think I've covered all the bases. So go check out the website whilst you can. If you have courses that you have purchased from me, download everything. Download all the content so that it's on your computer forever, because in the next 3 weeks, all of that stuff will be gone. All right. So if you have my courses, download them so that you have all the content forever. All right. And on that note, I wish everybody a good night. Bye for now. Good night, everybody.